Let's go on to the next point. What kind of success makes us happiest? So here's my quick summary. We enjoy okay, making funny sounds. Okay, we enjoy regular, small, positive action. So this is going to sound boring, but this is kind of, I'm going to talk about how important this is and how the opposite of what we think makes us happy is really bad for us, okay, which is the big stuff, okay? So we enjoy regular, small, positive actions. The small things are the big things because they are the less show-offy and so deeper things. So they're less opportunity for getting confused with being a show off, getting ourselves confused. And so it actually ends up being the deeper stuff. Okay. And they're the things that make, and you need those small regular things every day in your life, not once in a blue moon. Um, so I could go on about how I'm a big enemy of these sort of big actions, which are an enemy of your happiness. But any thoughts at first, Salim?
Yeah, very much so. So this reminds me of a verse from scripture, and it's kind of a summary of all the scriptures, whether they're Buddhist, Stoicism, uh, the Bible, and I'll just say what it is. And it says, "Surely men in the name I see, surely men who submit themselves to God, and women who submit themselves to Him, believing men and believing women, obedient men, obedient women, truthful men, truthful women."
All sorts of funny stuff is happening, and there's eggs have turned up. well, oh, okay. I think his connection's gone. That's what's happened. Okay, he'll be back in a bit. All right. So we're looking forward to hearing what he had to say about that. So okay, so I'm going to talk about why I'm such a big enemy of these sort of big actions. Okay, so why one reason why big actions are an enemy of progress, okay, because when we aim for them we actually stop doing anything. We say one day we're going to do this thing that makes us successful, and that thing has to be huge. And so basically success always gets put off until tomorrow. You want to feel successful every day, and it doesn't take a big thing to feel good about your life, right? It's a shame if it takes a big thing to feel good about your life. And as I said before, meaningful things are the things that make us happy. So one of the reasons why we think big things are the things that make us feel good is because of advertising. We need to buy increasingly bigger and bigger, more and more expensive things to feel good. And so we're sold on this idea that if only we had really big, expensive things, we could finally be happy. So try to kind of take off that idea, right? So big things are an enemy of success because you're putting this huge wall in front of you that you have to jump over to finally feel successful. And then also, you can always get used to whatever you have. So sorry, my throat's suddenly gone dry. Maybe it's your turn to take over. What were you saying a minute ago?
So when you say we do small positive actions, I mean, there was a verse that in scripture, and it talks about, I'm not sure if I should paraphrase it or just read it out as it is, but basically it's about people who submit themselves to God. So submit yourself, i.e. you do
Let go of your
you're being
ego and listen.
Yeah, so you submit yourself, that you believe in a creator, you're obedient to that creator, you're truthful, you're steadfast and humble, which is what you're talking about here, and then you give to others, give for charity, and then you fast, you guard your chastity, and you pray and remember the creator. That's what the creator says. Though if you do those things, that will lead you to paradise, nirvana, and that's what will make you happy. And you
Mm.
mentioned them here because that's what success is.
Sure. Yeah. So I know that
So
particular quote you had in mind, and a lot of it is metaphorical as well. So there's one thing about, like, for example, fasting, and it's supposed to be a metaphor for self-sacrifice. Like, you would give up something that you're allowed to have, but you're going to give it for other people. And there's those basically different levels of, it's called, you can call it belief, but also feeling good about yourself, right? So there's kind of, on the surface, you can know something is true, but to feel it and live that truth is a completely different thing. And so that's kind of one of the many stages. I think there were like 8 stages or something, that particular quote that you had. um so I get what you're saying, and that's kind of, those are different levels of success, aren't they? Like, you can know something is true, and you can say, oh, that's true, and that kind of helps you, kind of, it's, truth is kind of a map of the world, your understanding of your universe or something, right? But if you kind of only know it as a fact, but you don't live by it, you don't feel it's true, you don't feel it in your bones, then you don't this kind of, that's kind of success or appreciation of the world is only academic. You want it to be something you feel in your bones every day. You go, yes, this is the truth. This is the way to live my life. Basically, doing good things. Okay, and whatever those good things are, that's success, I suppose. Success is not an idea, it's something you feel as well. I don't
yeah,
know.
very much
What do
so. I
you,
mean,
yeah.
there's always a number one bestseller that's about self help,
Hmm.
and various people have trademarked different frameworks and methods of being of self help and being successful. But as you say, the underlying principles are these 7 items. For example, you talked about being humble and becoming less show offy. What does humble mean? Humble means that you can take a hit. It means you've got grit and resilience because everyone's stepping all over you because you're humble, but you can handle it. You can take it, and it makes you stronger. And the more humble you become, the more successful you become.
Yeah. And actually,
So
that's
that
kind of, go
that's
on, go on.
well,
Yeah. So,
that's
go on. Go on.
no. I mean that just carry on. I mean, I was going to talk about a different point. So, have you got anything to say about being
Well,
humble?
about the humble thing was kind of one. I think that one of the biggest things that, when we're, nowadays, we do big things to show off, and we don't admit it to ourselves, and then that makes success really difficult for us. We never ever feel successful, because as soon as you start showing off, you become captive to other people's opinions. So that's why I'm a massive enemy almost of big things. It's like, do really small things that you can't tell anybody about. It's kind of like this beautiful thing that I've been brought up with, which is, when you do a good deed, do it so secretly that your left hand doesn't know that your right hand is giving. You might have heard of that one. So
Yeah,
yeah.
interesting. So, does that mean that is that related to vanity and
Yeah.
showing off
And
and
yeah.
buying luxury goods and things?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And maybe that doesn't mean don't aim for big things. In fact, all big things, even if you want to do great and amazing things, not for your vanity, but for the betterment of the world, in reality, to do those things, there's a million steps that nobody sees. And it doesn't just happen, you know.
Yeah,
It
but
takes many, many years. Yeah.
if through my hard work I earned a decent amount of money and I can
Yeah.
afford a nice suit or a nice car or a nice house, then can I not should I not be you know getting those nice things?
Mm. I think don't be captive to it, is what I mean, right? So get something practical, like just stuff you just enough that you need it, but don't become like trapped by it, because that's a never-ending cycle. Do you know what I mean? Don't
Yeah, but you don't
be
want to be
like, yeah,
on the other hand, you don't want to be miserly, right? You don't want to be your hand chained to you. You know,
yeah.
you want to be
So
you
it's,
want to spend.
as I say, practical. So it's like, don't be so if you want to be more useful to society, or like I buy lots of stuff, technology, so I can do a better show, so I can be more useful. That's all it is. So if I buy a more expensive car because I need to get around, like I don't really get around, I do things online, right? But if it helps me become a more useful, productive person, sure, use that more expensive car because it won't break down and stuff like that. But really be honest with yourself about that. Like, don't buy that car unless you really need it. It's not about, yeah, do you know what I mean? It's about just, if you really, it's like, if you want to be free, you don't make excuses to buy more expensive things. You just want to be free. You buy things that help you do cool things for the world. That's it. Simple.
Understood. So when it comes to our partners and having
Yep.
a trophy husband or a trophy wife,
Sure. Yep.
and having lots of partners, you know what? He's
Yep.
got loads of partners.
Yep.
He's successful, or
Yep.
she's successful. Well, you know, what's your view on that?
Yeah, it's a good question. So it's just part of materialism, isn't it? It's like we want more stuff. We want a bigger house. We want more admirers online, real ones, stuff like that. It's just part of the same thing.
Okay.
What do you think? We use people as material objects to be traded. Do you know what I mean? It's like, oh, you don't just have these lots of multiple partners and all this kind of stuff. What you do is like, oh, I'm bored of that one. Let's get the next one. Because that's how, as soon as we see people as things to show off with, and then they disappoint us, which they will, because they're only human beings. They're not kind of some weird figment of your imagination. They are going to disappoint you. Then you're going to get tired of them, and then you're going to trade them for something better, just the next shiny thing. That's it. And you'll never be happy. What do you think?
Well, I think that, you know, I get a sense of success when with with children. You know, that I've got a child, I've got two children, I've got three children. I feel successful. So I think it's about striking the right balance, about having a partner who, you know, that will make me feel successful, who loves you, who cares for you. You're proud if you have lots and lots of children, perhaps, or two children. So it's about getting that balance, I think, you know.
Hmm. Yeah, I've been watching this series about Prophet Jacob. He had 12 kids, and who mostly caused him misery, except for one, really. So I'm not sure if it's quality or quantity. Who knows?
And he was a prophet.
Yeah. And if people don't know the story, 11 of his kids tried to kill one of his kids, and the best one, sort of thing, the nice one. Um, that's kind of a summary of the story. So
Joseph's amazing
yeah,
Technicolor Dreamcoat.
yeah, Joseph, that guy. Yeah. So yeah, let's move on to the last bit, which is, what's the easiest way to become successful? Because success seems to be this kind of thing that's always out of reach. And I'm gonna give the simple answer, I think, which is working together in doing good deeds. Right. So we like being together, not being lonely. Okay, that's very much part of who we are. We really suffer, and it's like one of the biggest killers in the West is loneliness. So don't underestimate being together and doing good things. Good things is kind of a summary of what psychologists like Viktor Frankl has said. Meaning, if you don't like the word meaning, is confusing for you, just do good things. Okay, and don't do things that are about showing off, because that robs you of your freedom. Don't do it. Okay, and do things that you can do every day, so you can feel good every day, not one day or tomorrow. Okay, so one of the reasons why we struggle with this, it should be really simple, is because we've fallen for advertising, as I said before. We don't need lots of stuff. We don't need big stuff. That's just your advertising. If you go to every time I've had my happiest memories, okay, are really simple things and really simple lifestyles, having really simple food and stuff like that. So so earlier on, I'll give you a quote, that quote that Salim was talking about. Um, I'll give it, it's quite a long one. I've got it somewhere. So I'll put it on the non-live chat. So I've got Alika, who's a regular here, and she was asking, she guessed it was a verse of the Holy Quran. Nice one, Alika. And so I will give that quote and kind of the slightly deeper meaning behind it as well. So cool. Thanks for that question. Any thoughts, Salim, about the easiest way of finding success? Do you agree, disagree with, or any issues that you can imagine people having with that definition?
So firstly, the verse is 33, 36,
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Al-Azhar. And I think that you have nailed it in summary of that: be good, be righteous. All scripture tells us
33.
the same.
Go on.
And there's a verse that says, in the name of God, the gracious, the merciful, surely success does come to the believers. So you have to believe in a creator, who are humble in their prayers, which we talked about just now, but not just that, but they're humble when they pray, when they think, when they reflect. And prayer can be through teaching others, helping others, working for the welfare of others. Doesn't need to be formal prayers. Who shun all that which is vain, who are active in paying zakat or charity, and who guard their chastity, except from their wives or what their right hand possesses. For then they are not to be blamed. But those who seek anything beyond that are transgressors. And then lastly, it talks about, or the last two things are, who are watchful of their trusts and covenants, and who are strict in the observance of their prayers. So that's in a nutshell, what how to be successful. I hope that makes sense.
I suppose one meaning of success, and why people might ask, what's praying got to do with feeling successful, or being humble? What's that got to do with being humble in your prayers? What's that got to do with being successful? It's the realization. So why do we really struggle with being successful? Is because, in short, we're trying to be something really important. And if we realize we're not really important and it's kind of a pointless activity trying to be more important, in fact, that actually makes you more miserable. Trying to be more important than other people actually separates you from other people. And the only thing that actually makes you happy is being close to people. So anyway, so being more important is really pointless activity. So when you realize that you need to be more connected with God, or being in line with whatever God's plan is, and God's plan is usually really, really beautiful. It's like to do good things, to make the world a better place. God's a beautiful creator. Look at the universe, right? So if we're more in line with that, and we're more humble as well, that means we kind of melted and there's no ego, then you're just going to feel great and successful every day. You're going to be basically in sync with nature. So that's kind of a little explanation why I think that being humble in your prayers makes you instantly feel successful.